Good morning, my friends. How are you today? Oh my goodness, it's been such a busy week. I just returned home from a getaway weekend. It was a staycation at my friend Joanne's house. And so I am gradually unpacking my goodies from going over to Joanne's house. And today I want to show you what I got accomplished. You can see right in the background there what I got accomplished this weekend and how I'm going to move forward on that quilt. So I had to get my Almost in Baltimore finished with sewing around the edges of the applique and putting those blocks together, because yesterday I met with our Ahead of the Curve members who are doing the Almost in Baltimore quilt, and we talked about designing our borders. Now, in a Baltimore album quilt, it's a very special project. It might be something that you do only once in your lifetime. So I want to make sure that those borders are custom made for our students. So we're having each student individually design their own borders, and then next month we will execute those borders and get them on the quilt. So I'm trying to decide what to do for my borders, and you're going to be able to help me do that today. Good morning, Kathy. Wonderful to see you. You had so much fun yesterday. So did I. We did a little lesson in designing in EQ for applique. Now, if you are an aspiring designer, we do have a new applique design club starting out in our Ahead of the Curve membership in June. So on June 3rd, we have our first session of the applique design club. Now, that club is available to all Ahead of the Curve members, regardless of your membership level. So whether you are Silver Leaf, Gold Leaf, or Platinum Leaf members, you are invited to the design club. So we're going to do a little bit of design today, and then I want to look at some product reviews. I have been purchasing a few new products for my own use, and it's a wonderful opportunity for me to decide if I'm going to add these to my list of favorite notions. So if you go into my website, it's SuePellinDesigns.com, you're going to see Sue's favorite notions. And under that category, I'm adding the things that I have reviewed that I have fallen in love with. Now, I am going to put SuePellinDesigns.com in the chat or in the comments. So if you see any of these products that you are interested in having in your sewing room, you can go to SuePellinDesigns.com and find the products on my website. Now, I was smart this time. I actually put a couple of the products up on the website ahead of time so that if you do find something that you need, instead of commenting in the chat box here, you can go ahead and go straight to the website. Now, it might say that they're out of stock. That means that these are special order items. And two of the products that I'm going to show you today are special order items. So we're going to be evaluating the Sullivan's Wing Table Extender. That is an ironing surface that you can use to extend any sewing table. And I want to see how flexible it is because I don't have a Sullivan's cutting table or a Sullivan's sewing table. So I want to see if it's going to fit and work with my existing sewing table to make an L-shaped ironing surface that will make my table much more useful. So I will evaluate the Sullivan's Wing Table Extender. The second product that we're going to be looking at is our Quilter's Select 28 millimeter rotary cutter. Now, I don't know about you, but paying $65, $70 for a rotary cutter just seems crazy. But I want to see what all the hype is about. I want to see why they're charging so much for this rotary cutter. Other than the fact that Alex Anderson's name is on it, I want to see if it's worth its weight. Now, I'm joking about that. This is a weighty rotary cutter. So I want to see if the weight of the rotary cutter makes cutting around curves easier They claim that it does, and I want to give it a good evaluation so I'll know if it's worth it to pick up a rotary cutter like this. Now, I do have it on my website, and of course, our Ahead of the Curve members get first shot at this with their 11% off coupon. Our members get 11% off of everything, so don't forget to use your coupon on any of these products. The third thing that I'm going to evaluate is a thimble. Now, why do I need a thimble when I am a machine appliquer? Well, this thimble is my absolute favorite thimble. In fact, I have it right here in front of me. It's always here on my table because I don't want to lose it. So I keep it right in front of my monitor right here. And this is my hand sewing thimble. So when I am doing bindings or any other type of embellishing or hand quilting, do I ever do that? Very rarely. But if I do anything by hand, I've got a thimble on my finger. So if you're not used to using a thimble, this is a great one to start with. In fact, it's a great one to use for your entire lifetime. But because it is silicone, it is a nice one to use. And so we'll evaluate using that thimble. So we've got some really high price items. We've got some really low price items. I just want to give you my take on some of these new and some of these products that are tried and true. That thimble is tried and true. So I want to talk to you about those. And you're going to be able to help me design my applique borders. So let's get started. I want to do some cutting. And today we're going to dive into cutting swags. Now, if you were in my class yesterday with our Ahead of the Curve members, we talked about how to draw a swag for your borders, and we designed some of those in EQ. Then we briefly touched on how we would cut those using the Leaves Galore and the Hearts and More and the Rings and Things tools. So let's dive into swags today. And while I do that, I may just evaluate that special rotary cutter. Okay, Bev Henry and Bev and Irene say hi from Stonington, Connecticut. You're just around the corner. What are you doing in Connecticut? Let me know what you're doing and if you have time to get together this week, because I might just be able to get down to Connecticut. Great class from Barb Searing. Thank you. I appreciate that. Love that cutter, Barbara. Barb, I want you to put your review on my website under that cutter. You can review products on my website. So I get to know what my customers love about those products and what you don't like about them as well. So you love that cutter. I can't wait to hear why. And everybody else would love to hear it too. So put your product reviews on my website. Okay, Mary, good morning, everybody. Mary Pop, Linda Ivy from Missouri, Kathy Hansel from Ohio, Ellie Sasante. Ellie, I never know if I pronounce your name correctly. Let me know how to pronounce that. So good to see you. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Bev says we brought our father-in-law down to see Mystic Seaport. They're there today. How much fun. Let me know if you're going to be there at all tomorrow. I would love to visit you and give you some hints on some amazing quilt shops in Connecticut. Okay. If you have a quilt shop you love in Connecticut, put it in the comments. Maybe Bev and Irene can stop at a quilt shop on their way. Colchester Fabrics, my #1 favorite quilt shop in Connecticut. Okay, let's get started evaluating these products. This is how new this product is for me. I'm reaching over here to grab my scissors because it's in one of these clamshell packs. So they're hard to open. I love my batting scissors for opening up those clamshell packs because the batting scissors you get a lot of leverage on them, and I'm not going to ruin my good scissors, and they get right in there to open up that clamshell. So let me see. I'm going to show you how I'm doing that here. Okay, so the clamshell packs are really, really hard to open, and I love those batting scissors because they are a workhorse. So let's see. I don't have the batting scissors on my website. That might be something I'm going to have to evaluate in the future. Oh my goodness, is that heavy? This is a heavy rotary cutter. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? We're going to find out as we start to cut our swags. So this is a 28 millimeter rotary cutter from Quilter's Select. It's exclusive designs and features. It's an ambidextrous design. I can hold it with my right hand. I can hold it with my left hand. It is exactly the same. Now let's see. It's a quick change blade. And is it a press? It is a press to retract the, I don't know. Is it a press to retract the safety? I'll have to find out when I get started. Unique and easy magnetic blade replacement. Never drop a blade again. I love that idea. Stress-free cutting with our ergonomic grip and handle. Anti-slip handle coating ensures safety when cutting. Anti-slip, that's interesting. I don't really find it anti-slip, but yeah, I can hold it in my hand the way I like to. I've got the rotary cutter in the butt of my, in the palm of my hand. I've got the butt of the rotary cutter in the palm of my hand. I can put my finger on it so I can get great leverage when I'm cutting. Used for cutting fabric, paper, leather, vinyl, wallpaper, foam, and more. Blade is extremely sharp. Handle with care. All right, I did read, I thought there were replacement blades in the package, but that is not the case. I was mistaken. So I thought it came with replacement blades. It does not. They do sell replacement blades for this cutter, and it's not too bad. So press the button to unlock the blade cover. We're going to press that button, and that's going to unlock the blade cover so that that's going to automatically retract when I cut. Then when holding the button down, slide the lever left to right to move the blade cutter. Slide left or right to move the blade cutter. Okay, so it's not automatically retracting. I'm simply going to move the blade cutter, whether I'm a left-handed cutter this way or a right-handed cutter this way. I'm going to slide that blade. Then it keeps it in place. Then I'm going to push the button in, slide it back. Not sure I like that on the blade cover, but we will see. Okay, while holding the magnetic stem, slide the lever down to release that blade. While holding the magnetic stem, slide the lever down to release that blade. And now we've got a magnet holding the blade to make it easy to replace. So let me put that back in, slide that back up, and our blade is replaced. So that is super easy, but so is the quick change from Alpha. So let's see if that weight, right now the only advantage I see is the weight. Feels good in your hand, but let's check it out. Okay, lock the blade into place. Already did that. Remove the blade. Already did that. Okay, let's go cut and see what this is like. I'm going to go ahead and move that camera onto my overhead camera. That's in my settings. Every program is different. So sorry, I sometimes get the wrong camera. Okay, and I get the blade out differently, Barbara. Interesting. Barb, I'd love to see how you get the blade out. So before we start cutting, I told you I went to a getaway weekend where I actually had a staycation with some friends. And I took my beautiful bag here. And this bag pattern is on my website. And inside my bag, I've got my sewing machine, power cord, etc. I've got my goddess sheet. I've got a little pack with some essentials in it. I have my chalk line right here up in the little basket. And this tool case was made for all of my tools. So let's go ahead and pull out those tools. I'm going to put my, of course, I always travel with my little macaron, and that has my self-threading needles in there. So this is what I keep on top of my machine to bury my thread. So let's put that away. And I just want to get my tools out so that I can put this bag away. I only use this bag when I'm traveling, but it's a wonderful, wonderful bag. Does anybody remember the name of that one? I'll have to put it in the comments because the name is escaping me right now. So we have a pattern for that bag, and I will be teaching that eventually in the membership. We need to find a date where it's going to work out to teach the bag, and it's going to need to be 2 or 3 sessions for that bag. So I have not scheduled that yet, but I promise you, members, I haven't made a bag myself. Once I get a bag made on my own, I will help you make yours as well. Now, my camera's upside down. That's okay. It doesn't really matter. But what I need to get started on these swags is I'm going to grab a pen that's going to write in a nice dark color so that you're going to be able to see these swags as I'm making them. So let's grab this pen. Whoop, wrong one. I want a black pen if I can find one. Well, let's see. And I just want to go through this little gift that I received. I have recently bought a long arm. It's new to me. It's not new, but it is a new to me long arm from a local quilter that used to do professional machine quilting. So it's got a lot of miles on it, and she sold it because she is going on the road. Catherine LeBlanc, she's an author, and she used to be a professional machine quilter. Well, don't you know that one of my guild members was so excited for me for getting my new used long arm, I'm calling it my new to me long arm, that she packed up a gift for me with all of our favorite doodads and notions that she uses for her long arm quilting. So I can't wait to figure out what all of these little gadgets are and how she uses them in her machine quilting. She included needles and a pre-wound bobbin, a quarter inch tool to mark 1/4 of an inch around templates, all of these wonderful little things, a handmade little basket, and that's Glory. Glory gave this to me as a little gift. What a sweetheart she is. She's a new member to our guild. I don't know her all that well, but I'm super excited to get to know such a kind and caring member. And inside there is one of these wonderful water erasable markers. This is her favorite one, so I will be evaluating the water erasable markers for a future sewing in slippers. So why did I bring that out? I just wanted to show you why I love belonging to a quilt guild. People are so kind. They are so generous, and we have so much fun together. But these are the tools that I'm going to use on paper in order to start marking and learning how to cut our swags. So I do like to use a paper that has a grid on it. So if you have yourself a gridded paper, this is a wonderful way to practice marking quilting designs. So these are some former designs that I use in my machine quilting class for my members. But I'm hoping there's another piece of gridded paper that I haven't drawn on yet, and here it is. Okay, why do I like to use the gridded paper? Well, I have to figure out how to fit these swags around my borders. So I have to know how long I can make my swags. So let's go ahead and get started with the biggest swag that I can manage. And you're getting the glare on the tool there, so let me just turn off that overhead light and turn on the light behind me. You might get a little shadow now, but at least you won't get the glare. Okay, so when I'm marking with the Rings and Things tools, and I know my tool says Clamshells and More, that was my prototype, and we have renamed that Clamshells and More to Rings and Things because it is so much more useful than just making clamshells. But of course, I can make clamshells with this tool, so that is My tool says clamshells and more. Yours will say rings and things. So I've just marked from 90 to 90 on the tool. That 90 line, that half circle line, is on the edge of the paper. Now let's see what size swags we can make from this original 9-inch half circle. Now the problem with a 9-inch half circle is, how do I make the inside of that swag? So let's go ahead and use our 8-inch tool inside of that 9-inch half circle. Okay, that looks fabulous. So this is the 8-inch curve, the 9-inch half circle, and this length right here is going to be 8 inches because I use the 8-inch tool from end to end to mark that swag. So that's a really nice size swag. It's about 1 inch high. It's exactly 1 inch high, and it's 8 inches long. Now, what if I want to make my swag a little bit deeper? Can I do that? Can I move my 9-inch tool to make that 8-inch swag a little bit deeper? Well, as soon as I move my 9-inch tool. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 little lines there. If I do another 1, 2, 3, 4, that's going to make my swag 2 inches deep, where this swag is 1 inch deep. The problem is getting this point right here on the swag. You need a curve that is lesser than the 9-inch to get a nice looking swag. If I go out by 1 inch with my 9-inch tool, I can make a beautiful looking swag, but it doesn't come together on the ends with that 8-inch tool. You can see it's wider right here than my 8-inch line. In fact, it's half of an inch wider. So I could have a swag that has a straight line right here. This one has a straight line right here. When these go together, there's going to be about 1 inch right here that is a straight line. Now, this is not a big deal unless you want it to be. If you want to go point to point, you're going to need to use the smaller 1-inch swag. But if you don't mind having a flat spot right there, you can make this swag 1 inches, 2 inches. You could probably even go 3 inches and end up with a flat spot. Well, what happens with that flat spot? I don't mind that at all, because if I'm going to put a heart right here, I can take a 1-inch tool and make a nice little heart right here to go on my swag. I can take a set of leaves and I can make that go on my swag. I could even do a beautiful cone flower. Any type of flower can go at the intersection of your swag. Or, of course, we can make some beautiful ribbons to come off your swag as well. So you could do a ribbon and a bow, okay? So having a gap between your swag gives you room to do a decorative element. If they come together point to point and you do a decorative element here, you're covering over half the swag, and so you're not getting the full benefit of that swag when you're covering over the first couple of inches. So don't be afraid to have a flat spot here where your swags come together. So this is a swag that's 8 inches long. Then you're going to have a gap, and then you're going to have another 8-inch long segment. You can make this gap as wide as you want it to be. You could even cut your swag straight across at the 8-inch marking. So your repeat is still 8 inches. Then you're going to have a flat spot this way where your swags come together, with a flat spot that way. That is going to be just fine for swags like this with multiple layers. That's going to be like a bunting. I think that's absolutely beautiful as a bunting, but I wouldn't be putting any decorative element in that corner or you will lose the effect of that bunting. Excuse me. When I talk about bunting, what I'm talking about is a small section of the swag, another section of the swag. You could even do a third row on that swag. Let's see what happens when I try to do a third row on the swag. 1, 2, 3, 4 inches down. Now let's use that 9-inch tool once again to mark across, and we're going to stop at the 8-inch line. We're going to stop here at the 8-inch line. So we have a bigger section that's going to overlap and come together here on the ends. And then we're going to have that next swag piece coming on down from that 9-inch curve. So let's see if I can just estimate that. And then this one here. And then the one over here was the 8-inch curve. So the first one is your 8-inch curve. The second one is your 9-inch circle coming down from there like this. And then the third one is your 9-inch circle again. So yes, you can make beautiful swags. You can make buntings. You can make layered buntings. And you have to just pay attention to these ends. Do you want them to come together right here and be butted up one against the other? Or do you want to put some space in between right here and have these come up and up once again, having a space right here where those swags come together? So you can go from 8-inch, then you can adjust how these come together by as wide as you want this segment to be. You can make this segment 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. So you can space out your swags on your border and just use the 8-inch swags, but then use a decorative design element in between. So I do love the 9-inch for my swags, but let's see what we can also do with the 7-inch rings and things. So I'm going to start with a straight line. I'm going to start with this line right here for my straight line. And then I'm going to put the 90-degree marking on that straight line from 90 to 90. And I'm going to make my first curve. That's the lowest part of my swag. Okay. Now, what if I don't want to do a swag at all? What if I just want to do half circles? Well, I have half circles that I can make in 12 different sizes between my Hearts and More tools and my Rings and Things tools. Hearts and More has 8 different sizes of that circle. Rings and Things has 4 additional sizes. So I can go from a little 1-inch half circle all the way up to a 9-inch half circle. So this is a nice look for a border as well. You can do layered circles, or you can just pick out one of these and make a ring in order to make a beautiful element that's going to go around the edge of your quilt. Now this ring, I used the 5-inch here. I used the 3-inch here. So that ring is 1 inch across. The difference between a 3-inch circle and a 5-inch circle, but then you've got 2 of them, right? So you're going to end up with a 1-inch ring right here. What if I wanted a 1/2-inch ring? Well, I could use the Rings and Things tools, or I can use my Hearts and More. Yep, let's use Hearts and More, the 4-inch tool. That will give me a 1/2-inch ring. But I digress. I was supposed to be talking not about rings, but I was supposed to be talking here about the swag. So let's go ahead and make a swag out of that 7-inch curve. So let's grab our 7-inch Rings and Things tool once again. We're going to mark that 7-inch half circle. And let's see what we can do about how deep we can make this swag using the different Leaves Galore tools. So we have our 7-inch Rings and Things tool. If you'd like to, it's a great idea to do this on the fold, so you can see where that arrow goes, right on the fold of your fabric, or just draw a line. You can draw a little chalk line here at the center of that 7-inch curve. Then when we mark with any other curve, we have to keep that centering line on the A of our tool. That's going to give us a symmetrical joining line. I'm going from H to H on my 8-inch tool, and that is a really deep ring. Okay, that's a really deep swag. So I might want to break that up a little bit and do another swag inside of there. So if this is the 8-inch curve, what happens when I use the Rings and Things 9-inch curve? I'm going to go, it's about from 50 to 60 here, or just from point to point. I can make this a little bit deeper, so we have a little bit less depth to our swag. So this is the 9-inch and the 8-inch. But remember, my 8-inch is only going 7 inches long this way because I'm marking it against a 7-inch half circle. So I didn't use the full 8-inch. And that's why it's not the exact same swag as the one on the other paper. That's 8 inches long using the 9-inch Rings and Things tool. So you have a whole lot of flexibility here. This is 3/4 of an inch wide when you make that swag 7 inches long. Now I like this bunting style where it's got 2 layers. One is wider than the other. But can we do something else here to break this up even more? If I use the 9-inch tool, I'm going to end up basically with rings. They're not going to come together here on the ends from point to point. But that's okay. As long as I keep that centering line, I can divide this bunting up any way I want to using that 9-inch ring. So I've got a swag down here. I've got a middle one, which is more of a band. Okay, there's a band right there. And then I've got another swag. So I've got a point, and then I've got a band, and then I've got another point. So this in here, this band, because it's pretty consistent, that's a nice place to do something like some star quilting. So I could certainly make this into a stars and stripe banner. I can cut my inside one, maybe make that red. I can cut my outside one, maybe make that blue. I can put a white band in the middle, and then I could quilt some stars in there, making a beautiful patriotic bunting. So these are just some ideas for you by using the different tools, how we can design some different swags, but how we are also somewhat limited because we can't always make those points on the swag. Sometimes we end up with a band instead of a point. Now that doesn't mean you can't change that curve on the inside. Let's go ahead and fold this paper. And if you're making your swags out of fabric, you can fold your fabric exactly in half. So here is my straight line. Here's my half circle that is 7 inches. And here is the center of that 7-inch half circle. Now I can take any one of my Leaves Galore tools and I can create a point on this end by laying the end of the Leaves Galore tool out here and then angling this tool in anywhere you would like it to go. Now I will say that you are going to get something inside that's not a perfect circle. If I angle this 6-inch Leaves Galore tool here, I'm coming down to, let's see, I'm coming down here. I'm going to end up with a very slight point on my inside curve. Now it's very slight. Your average person may not notice that, but you can see it's not a perfect round circle. But after you blanket stitch this, you're going to get the look of a swag, and nobody's going to notice that that is not quite round. Now, another thing you can do if you don't like that little bit right there, you could absolutely change that curve. You can start here, and then as you're cutting, you can change to the center of that curve, and you can smooth out that point. Now, it's not as easy. It's not one step, but it is doable if you want to make that curve a little bit more round. But quite honestly, I don't bother. I think that little point in the middle is not noticeable once you get this stitched. So I did that with the 6-inch curve. I can also do that with the 8-inch curve. Okay, I can make it any angle whatsoever, but I'm going to end up with more of a point unless I simply go here and go from H to H. So it's one nice round curve. So this is the 8-inch curve here. This is the 6-inch curve here. But if this swag is 7 inches long, I can't bridge that with my 6-inch tool. So I would have to use the inside of the tool, and I'd have to make a shape that is not quite perfectly round. If I trace this tool evenly, if I put my A right in the center, I have a little bit of a flattening out right here at the end for the last half of an inch. And then this part from the 6-inch line, from eye to eye, is nice and curvy, but the ending part goes a little bit wonky. So it doesn't give you that true swag flavor right here. It gives you a little bit of flattening out. Again, if you're going to put something at the corners, that's perfectly fine. So there's my 6-inch curve. What happens if I try to do that with my 5-inch curve? If I use my 5-inch curve, I'm going way, way, way out and flat. So it's not going to be quite as pretty. Let's see, I'm trying to get it symmetrical by putting my A right in the middle. And it's not significantly different than the 6-inch curve in the depth. It's just a tiny little bit deeper. So I don't think I would bother using the 5-inch curve. I really feel as though that 6-inch curve with that little point in it is really a good way to go. So there you have it. We have lots of different swags that you can make. So how are we going to fit this swag to your border? We're going to adjust by putting a little bit of space in between this way and filling it with a design element, or we're going to adjust by overlapping this way, having them come butted up one against the other, so you can take out 1/4 of an inch from each end, 1/2 an inch from each end, whatever measurement you need to make those swags go around your borders. So I hope you've had fun making some swags here with me today. We need to get to the fabric. So let's make a swag from our fused fabric. Now, those of you that know me, you know that I love using Misty Fuse. Misty Fuse is my favorite fusible web. So we're going to use the Misty Fused fabric here. And I'm going to use that 9-inch curve and the 8-inch curve to make my swag. Let's see if I can fit 2 right here. Oh, maybe not. I would need 16 inches to do that. So let's do it this way. Okay, so I know that I'm going to end up cutting this with the 8-inch curve right here. So I'm going to put the 8-inch curve on the straight edge of the fabric. And I'm going to cut out that first 8-inch curve. So straight line on the straight edge of the fabric. Go ahead and cut that line. Now we're going to grab our rings and things tool. The rings and things that we're using is the 9-inch curve. I need to leave time to look at my products. So I'm going to just get started here. I'm going to do that 9-inch curve. And I'm going to put it right across the 8-inch cut. Now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it falls on the lines of the tool. I'm going from 60 here over to 70. That doesn't matter. As long as I'm starting here at the end of my 8-inch cut and I'm ending here at the end of my 8-inch cut. That's going to give me that 1 inch in depth. If I want to go a little bit deeper, I have to then create that overlap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this on my board. So I've got it on a straight line right here. Then I'm going to measure how far down I'm going. So I'm ending up with a flat spot right here because I'm going beyond that 1 inch marking. So I want to go down by about 2 inches. So this is what, 4.5. Yeah, I'm going to go down by about 2 inches like this. And I'm going to cut. Now, lo and behold, I cut with folded fabric. Let's see if these are still stuck together. Yep, they are. And so what I end up with is a 16-inch swag. And if I put this straight line here on the marked line on my fabric, this straight line on the marked line on my fabric, I've got this beautiful swag that I can use for my quilt. Now it looks upside down to you. I've got my camera facing the wrong way. So there you have it. There's some beautiful swags that you can cut for your borders. Of course, you can cut these apart. You can separate them by as much as you need and then place a decorative design element in between. You can even overlap these and then cut a straight line right here so they're butted up against this edge, and then you can make that swag continuous. All right, here we go. I used my wrong rotary cutter. This rotary cutter is the one that I want to test. So let's go ahead and press that blade down, and then I'm going to adjust the cutting here. The safety. Now look at that. My safety is only exposing the blade on the right-hand side. Okay, well, on the left-hand side for right-handed cutting. Normally, when I use my Olfa cutter, I'm exposing the blade on the very, very top. So this is better for me for cutting curves. However, I haven't tried cutting with this one yet. I'm sure I'll be able to cut curves with that one, but will it be awkward? Will it be so different from my normal cutting that I'm not going to be able to get the hang of it quickly? So I'm going to just grab some fabric here. It's not fused. I just want to test out the cutting. I don't want to be making leaves right now. And I'm going to take the hardest tool to cut. I'm using the 2.5-inch curve. Barbara, I would love to hear how you manage cutting your Leaves Galore curves with this tool. It's fabulous. It's not a problem at all not being upright with my blade. So let's try it again. I can keep my blade down, and because of where it's exposed, I can still go through multiple layers of fabric. So boy, isn't that nice? Now I'm really curious, Barbara, why do you love this tool? Is it the weight? Is it the way it cuts? What is it about the tool that you love? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of fabric here. Initially, I only cut through 2. Let's make another cut. Remember, this is the tightest curve, and it's the hardest one to cut on my Leaves Galore tools. So look at that. It's cutting effortlessly, as does the Olfa. Now, I just noticed, I didn't get through the layers. I didn't get through those layers. Let's try it again. I don't want to say it's effortless unless I can get through 4 layers at a time. So I'm sliding my tool over. It's like I'm making a vine. And now I'm going to cut out that vine. So I still have to press downward The weight of the tool doesn't do it by itself. I'm still giving it a good press. I'm finding it a little bit, my hand feels tired. I'm not sure why. I'm sure I would get used to it. That's not bad. Okay, but I find I'm putting this blade down without closing my safety. That's not safe. I need to get in the habit of closing that safety, which means putting this down and adjusting the safety. Uh-oh, there's not a logical place for it to stop. I can overshoot it. So there's open. There's the left side. I can overshoot that right side and that left side and not get the safety in the right place. Is there no way for that safety to go back? There's not. So if I press the button, that safety can overshoot. Is it hard to get in the right place, Barbara? I'd love to hear that. It's hard for me, not having used it often. It's hard for me to get that in the right place. But it does cut beautifully through the 4 layers of fabric. So let me test that against my Olfa. Now this Olfa, I haven't put a new blade in there. So I am pressing down quite hard because I'm not sure if that blade is really sharp. And yeah, I'm able to cut through my 4 layers. Let's try it again. Again, I should be comparing apples to apples. Now with the butt of the cutter in the palm of my hand, I've got a different angle on that cutter. I'm much higher up on the cutter in order to get the same cutting strength. But it works perfectly well for me. So would I want to spend 2 to 3 times as much on the Quilter Select Cutter? I think only you can decide. I'm going to need to play with this for a while longer. I'm going to practice getting that safety back in place. But right now I'm not convinced. I'm going to give it a month or so of using it, and then I will write my final review. So anybody that has this cutter, please write us a review on our product page. And if you love it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know that too. I want our customers to have honest reviews on the website. I won't write my review until I've been using this for a month or so I can really get accustomed to it and see how that goes. Now, the next product that I want to review is that Sullivan's table. So let me come back to you on the screen here. And while I'm there, I'm going to check out your comments. Okay, camera. Let's do the other Logitech camera. Good, good, good. Okay. All right. I find the Olfa to be too lightweight, Barbara says. All right, good. Mary, do you like your cutter? I didn't know that they come in 28 millimeters. So Mary is saying that she, new cutter. Yes, Teddy Pruitt. Oh, wonderful. Nice to see you here, Teddy. Such a sweetheart. Linda Ivy. Okay, so what I'm not seeing is Mary says you don't adjust the height of the blade. Push the button, start cutting, and it adjusts itself. Okay, so you're talking about pushing the button and the blade retraction takes care of itself when you press down. The problem is that putting it back in place, putting that safety back in place, it doesn't snap back in place by itself. So that is the case with some of the cutters, not the one that I'm currently testing. Debbie West, they're expensive. Yeah, they are expensive. I wondered about them. I love the Creative Grids 45 one, and it's well worth it. Safety is much easier. They don't make a 28 millimeter. Right. The Creative Grids doesn't make the 28 millimeter. That's the one with the retractable safety that retracts on its own, so it's much safer. Unless you drop it on your foot. That blade can retract when you drop it. When it falls with some force, that blade can retract and still cut you. Yeah. Okay. You watch the video and it will explain it. It was different from the regular ones. Yes, Mary. That's why I'm going to give it a good full evaluation of a month. I want to be able to watch those videos and make sure I understand all the ins and outs of it. So I want to have your experience of just opening the product right away without reading anything. And then I'm going to go watch the videos. I'm going to spend some time with it. I'm going to spend a month cutting with it. And then I'll give you my full review after a month. Okay, fabulous. So we're going to try to keep this to, I've only got 5 minutes. So you know what? We might have to put off the wing table. I tell you what, we will evaluate the wing table next time. I'm just not going to have time to get through the wing table and do it justice. So I won't even unbox it until next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I'll unbox the wing table. I will also be unboxing my challenge. So we are going to have an applique design challenge in 2024. You can pick up a challenge packet on my website. They're not ready yet. The fabric has not come in. But on our first night of applique designers in our Ahead of the Curve membership, on June 3rd, we have our first applique designers meeting. We will unveil the challenge then, following that June 3rd meeting. So the next time, not next week, but the one following June 3rd, I will unveil the challenge for everyone else that's not a member. The challenge, the applique design challenge, will be open to everyone, not just members. Members, I will not be helping you design your blocks for the applique design challenge. Our designers night is for your own personal work. I don't want to see your challenges. I want them to be a complete surprise when they are due a year from now. So we're not going to work on your design challenge per se, but we are going to be working on design concepts that you can incorporate into your challenge, good design principles, good color principles. We'll be talking about good design in our applique designer sessions in Ahead of the Curve. But anyone can practice their design capabilities by doing our applique design challenge. So the challenge will be announced on the Tuesday following our first session of applique designers. So I think that's going to be July 4th. June 4th. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I think that our applique club is meeting on Monday night, and the following Tuesday, the next day, I will reveal the applique challenge. So sorry, Sullivan's Wing Table, you're going to have to wait until our next session of Sewing in Slippers with Sue. Okay, watch the video. Okay, Barbara doesn't adjust the center button. All right, I'll check that out, Barbara. I'll watch the video in the meantime. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for watching our unboxing of the Quilter Select 28mm rotary cutter. We also did not get to the thimble. So I need to revise my plan. If I'm going to be doing some rotary cutting with shapes for applique, then I won't be able to review 3 products every time. I'll revise that a little bit. We'll try to just get to 1 product with every single Sewing in Slippers with Sue. It's been a pleasure spending my morning here with you. I can't wait to see your comments about the products that I have reviewed today. I want to see your product reviews on my website for everyone to enjoy so that they'll know if making this investment is a good investment on the Quilter Select 28mm rotary cutter for cutting curves. Thank you all for being here. So nice to see all of you today. Keep it all fun, light, and easy, and have some fun with beautiful applique quilts. Bye, everyone.